proud to say that I'm currently the president of Naredco NextGen for this year. And Naredco NextGen was established to empower young entrepreneurs and encourage youth participation in the real estate sector and its allied fields. It aims to create an environment where young professionals and young real estate founders, real estate firm founders can come together, share their experience, develop skills, pool their resources, and grow collectively. It also ensures active engagement with other stakeholders in technology, sustainability, in government, and help in its overall growth, while also recognizing the significant contribution of young professionals in this industry. Today's topic is technology and sustainability in real estate. The integration of technology and sustainability is transforming real estate in a substantial scale. Many technologies have recently started coming into real estate, like IoT devices, automation systems, energy efficient solutions, increasing the operational efficiency, reducing costs, renewable energy sources, eco-friendly materials, all of this. Now, also, I think, especially globally, there has been a lot of development in smart building technologies, renewable energy integration. I think in India, we are seeing that coming in a big way, but I think there is miles to go. I would like to I have with me here Mr. Saras Agarwal, Managing Director of Earth Fund, which is India's first real estate tech and sustainability focused venture capital fund, backed by a very large real estate group out of Bangalore, Brigade Group. They also run a very seasoned and very well-known real estate accelerator called REAP, which is started, I think, 7 years ago. And they have a substantially large portfolio, which Saras will explain when he takes over. I think Saras has a decade-long experience in early-stage investing. And before Earth Fund, he was part of Bharat Fund and Venture East. PropTech, I think, is in his new avatar. They've already started investing substantially. So, Saras, welcome to this series, and I'm really happy that you are here along with your portfolio firm, Groundwater Company. Mr. Jagdish, welcome to the session as well. Saras, please take it over from here, and I'm very glad and thank you very much for being here today. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Really, thank you, Ravi, for that introduction, and thank you, Naredco, for giving me this opportunity to connect with you all, this esteemed audience. When Ravi asked me to come and speak here, I was wondering that I'll be preaching to the choir, given that all of you had been in the real estate industry for long. But felt that some of the work that we've been doing, particularly around the technology within the real estate industry, could be really helpful for all of us from a knowledge sharing aspect, and then hopefully some of these technologies could find a way in the work that you do and sort of help you improve your operations and efficiency. I think as Ravi mentioned, he gave you a little bit of background about the fund and the work that we've been doing through REAP, which is the accelerator, which is the real estate acceleration platform. We have supported close to 70 odd startups. And now taking that forward with Earth Fund, we are supporting some of these ventures, which are driving technology and sustainability solution for our industry. What I'll do today is cover basic, aspects around what we are seeing per se in terms of technology. But before that, let me take a step back. And given that, we all come from the real estate industry, interestingly, this is one of the industry, which is one of the largest in the world. If you see in terms of the asset class, in fact, it is larger than the stock, bond, and equities combined together. And the importance that this particular industry hold in anybody's heart is clear from the fact that 45% of our household wealth in India actually is in real estate somehow, right? Very large market. In fact, it is one of the industries which is after agriculture, one of the largest employer if you look at the real estate and construction industry in India. We've been growing phenomenally well, globally as well as in India. If you see the growth rates, particularly in India, have just catapulted after, the COVID era, where we've seen the transformational shift that has come to the real estate industry, right? Both in housing as well as commercial space. And roughly, we are roughly at around 330 odd billion market today. If you look at the size of the Indian real estate industry, growing at a healthy rate of 9.2%, CAGR from here on, as per the different estimates. And we will touch close to 1 trillion by 2030, as per, different sort of estimates that, that we've seen. Having said that, while I think there are a lot of positive connotations for our industry, unfortunately, a lot of negative connotations also sort of get, attached to our industry, particularly around, the sustainability aspect of energy and around CO2. If you see, building essentially accounts for almost 30% of energy consumption. This is almost second to industries, if you see from that perspective. And also carbon footprint wise, surprisingly, buildings account for 25% of carbon emissions. While we all talk about EVs and transportation space, unfortunately, given the amount of time we spend within the built world, within the confines of our home or offices, 25% of the carbon footprint gets generated within the building premises. So of course, some of these things are, is something that we will have to take cognizance of, from a future standpoint. Now, having said, all of this, and given the importance this asset class sort of holds for all of us, unfortunately, we are a space that had been laggard in adopting technology. There is a McKinsey report that says that over the last decade, roughly world economy in terms of productivity grew by 4%. But unfortunately, real estate space, the productivity growth in the last decade happened, it was just 1%. And there is a report which was done by PwC, essentially, which showed that it's a chicken and egg problem that we are grappling with in our part of the world, right? Where there is a sort of an, where the managers and developers are willing to adopt technology, but, somewhere we are also too concerned about the proven ROI and, where people are not willing to take that first step. Also, the inertia plays big time, where 93% of the firms do agree that they would want to sort of adopt technology, but only 53% of the firms say that they have a system to adopt some of these technology. And unfortunately, given that we are an industry which is almost very old industry, I mean, one of the oldest industry of the world, what you would see that a lot of legacy issues also come into the picture, because we've been sort of attuned to do things certain way. And 65% of the respondents did say that why they're somehow not aware of some of these emerging technologies, and how do they adopt that within the sort of within their processes. And that's what we are here for. Hopefully this session helps you in understanding about some of these technologies. But having said that, I mean, not everything is sort of, bad or, in gray area. What we've also seen post-COVID is tech adoption has significantly improved in our industry, right? A lot of it driven by the necessities of, the COVID lockdown, and also in terms of how customers have started demanding from the industry, around some of these technologies that they would want to sort of implement and adopt. And what we've seen that some of the technologies like drone, e-document management system, the AI ML framework around risk management, some of these technologies have started to find its feet, within our industry. And while, this percentage, out of this audience is around 20-25%, what you also see, which is a green shoot, that another 25% of the respondents said that they would want to adopt more and more tech, into their operations in the coming years. And what was very, very sort of, I would say, comforting for me as an investor and as a player in this space around technology is out of the people who have used these technologies, 75 to 90% of the folks found some of these technologies to be super satisfactory in terms of driving efficiency and operations for them. Now, just to get into the insights around what really constitutes, the prop tech or the construction tech, so to say, right? It's a wide space, and if you see, it is essentially, as Ravi was mentioning initially, the use of cutting edge technology, whether, it's drone, AI, 3D printing, the building information management or the alternate material, etc., into the way we sort of design, build, and operate our buildings, right? And the peripheries of that in terms of improving our overall experience for our customer, whether, in terms of green building, whether in terms of digitizing some of the process flows, whether in terms of, sort of using smart building sort of solutions in terms of driving down, the cost of building operations, or the virtual property tools, etc., which a lot of us use during the COVID for selling our homes and houses. So all of that combined together, which helps in improving efficiency, reducing cost, and enhancing our user experience. All of that combined sort of falls within the realm of the prop tech space, so to say. What I've tried to do here, and just to give you a sense, broken down the entire life cycle of, say, the construction process, from design to construction, particularly if you see, and then some of the examples that you see on the top are Indian sort of companies that are operating in this space, and the bottom you will see some of the global sort of play there. And in fact, Jagdish is also here. Some of his work, on groundwater company also comes during project initiation state and also falls across sustainability. So he'll give you a little bit more perspective when he speaks. But essentially what happens during, say, a project initiation and building space is, technology is permeating all of these aspects, right? So right from, digitization of land records, for example, Ravi is in Hyderabad. There is a Hyderabad-based company called Landdeed, which is doing a phenomenal work in that area around digitizing some of these land records. Similarly, there are sort of companies like QuickSpec, etc., which is in our portfolio of REAP, where, it helps you in project monitoring. The moment you sort of give a project in terms of contractor management, so on and so forth, right? So technology sort of is coming in all of these aspects. If you look at design and planning, essentially, the way we design, typically what you would see that typically all of us use solutions like Autodesk, which are old clunky software. Now there are interesting solutions which have brought in AI capabilities in terms of designing. Why do we need to design from scratch? Why can't we write, few lines of code, start from, the learnings that we've had in the past in terms of designing some of these projects, sort of leverage that, bring in capabilities around sustainability into the design part itself, where some of these cutting edge technology like Snaptrude and Smarter Dharma, are sort of coming there. Seen a lot of work around material sourcing and procurement, right from labor sourcing to material sourcing. I'm sure a lot of us have heard of platforms like InfraMarket. We are seeing very long tail platforms, around steel, around cement, around, woodwork and all of those aspects. So a lot of work and, platforms which are coming there, which are helping us drive down cost of construction through the bidding process, right? Similarly, a lot of drone technology is coming in the sphere of site management and managing that logistics. So what we are seeing is, drone technology getting used for, surveying of the places, in terms of figuring out what is the project completion rate, how do you pay your contractors? The contractor might say that 40% of the work is done or 50% of the work is done. How do you sort of make sure that, indeed that is true? And how do you monitor that from a distance? If say you are sitting in Hyderabad and you have a project going on in Bangalore, So managing some of those aspects remotely is where a lot of newer technology in terms of drone analytics, in terms of 3D mapping and LiDAR scanning is where we are seeing some of these companies, operate. Interestingly, what we're also seeing that some of the robotic kind of solutions coming in from execution and safety aspects. So in fact, one company that you see here, which is Video Bots, essentially they have developed a bot for exterior painting and plastering. Because labor is becoming a big problem in almost all parts of the country, and where this platform sort of comes in is come with some of these industrial robots which can help you in plastering and painting of the site external walls and internal walls, right? Similarly, around safety, to detect any fall detection, etc., there are companies like Detect, etc., that sort of comes in and solve for some of these sort of challenges. And in sustainability, very interestingly, while we talk about sustainability as a country, we have to meet our SDG goals. What we are seeing that sustainability and cost aspect sort of blends together, and we're seeing some of the platforms like Clairco, which is providing clean air as a service, bringing down your energy bills by almost 30% in the malls, etc., that you operate, or the commercial office space, etc., that you operate. And similarly, Eco STP kind of solutions which are there, which sort of helps you design the sewage treatment plant, which are lot more sustainable. They use bacteria rather than the using electricity for sort of decomposting some of the waste that gets generated through the STP plants. So very, very wide application of these technology across, the industry that we're seeing. And by the way, these are not Western examples. The examples that I gave you are in India. These are the companies that are getting used by, developers. I'll give you a little bit more color in the subsequent slides. But I'll just skip this slide because a lot of the audience here, you are focused more on construction aspect of the building development, but this slide essentially gives you an aspect around the customer delight and some of the aspects where again technology is coming in terms of facility and property management, in terms of the smart homes, in terms of the marketplaces and the fractional ownership, etc., kind of newer models that we are seeing sort of come into the realm of the real estate and the prop tech industry. Just to sort of highlight the aspect that, who we are, and Ravi gave you a quick view that we are part of Brigade Enterprise, which is, roughly $3.4 billion in market cap. We've been in the industry for last 4 decades. In fact, license holder for all the 6 World Trade Centers that you see across India, in southern part of India, and developed close to 80 plus million square feet. And what we'd been doing in this space around 8 years back, we'll have to give it to Nirupa in terms of how she saw it, was supporting some of these sort of entrepreneurs who are trying to build technology and sustainability solutions for, our industry. And the idea that time was that these solutions have to benefit the entire industry rather than just the group. And interestingly, we've supported 70 plus startups through this, program that we've run over the last 8 years. 30% of those startup, all prop tech, 30%, in sustainability around prop tech. And then, a segue to that, last year we launched this fund, Earth Fund, taking strides from what we've learned across the years. So this is a 200 crore fund, which is focused on little bit late stage startups, which are looking for growth capital, continuing with the same vision and learnings that we've done with REAP. And just to give you a sense that all of our startups, they've already, most of them had developed, given sustainability impact. For example, there are water metering solutions like VGOT, etc. Clairco I spoke about in terms of the, the overall air quality management that they do. Similarly, we have Charger, which is, the charging infrastructure sort of play that we've seen. And as I said, these technologies are getting implemented in the industry. So some of our customers, and maybe Jagdish, when he talks about in terms of the kind of customers we had, lot of these companies, portfolio of ours, went on to work with other developers, including some of the larger ones like the Godrej, the Prestiges, the Tata Housing of the world, and also some of the customers from outside of India in the Middle East, like your MR, the likes of Aldar, Nakil, etc. So the idea was to catalyze this whole ecosystem so that the industry as a whole could sort of benefit from it. So just leaving you here that we are a 200 crore fund, essentially focused on 3 core areas, which is real estate, tech, and sustainability. So any of the solutions which fits into this umbrella is where we are sort of focused on. So that was my time, keeping it short. I hope some of this did benefit you and would be happy. Please feel free to write to me in case you have any questions. We would be happy to connect you with some of these companies if at all you would want to know more about them. And thank you so much, Naretko and Ravi, for giving us this opportunity to come and speak with you. This is really wonderful, and I hope this session would find your audience and your members would find this session useful. So thank you. And with that, would like to invite Jagdish, who's the founder of Groundwater Company. They're doing very interesting work around the underground water, which which essentially we all use during the construction phase. So they've developed an aquifer management and sustainability technology for clients in the real estate portfolio. And then what they've done, interestingly, is implemented these programs to improve water availability by almost 800%. And sort of helped its client from real estate industry and construction industry, and have executed in more than 100 plus projects across India. So I'll leave it to Jagdish to take it from here, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thanks, Cyrus. Thanks for that nice introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Jagdish. I'm the co-founder for this company called The Groundwater Company. So let me just directly go to the presentation aspect of it, just to give you an insight into how we do what we do, right? So just a moment. Yeah, so this is a corporate presentation. Usually this is the last slide. Is my slide visible to everyone? It is, right?
It is visible.
It is. So usually this is the last slide that everyone would talk about the client list, right? But this is our first slide. So if you basically look at it, we work across not just, this type of developers that we have, right? I mean, from a large scale to even a smaller scale or medium scale as well. So we work across the spectrum, help them do what they want to do in terms of sustainability, water positivity, ensuring there's enough water generation, all these things, right? So one of the important aspects that I want to speak about is as a developer, as a real estate fraternity that we all consider ourselves to be part of. We are great at this. Today, you give us a parcel of land, which is about 10 acres of 1 acre, and you say, I want to construct a 50-story building. We have at least about 50 or 100 consultants who are there to come and help us do that. Structural consultants, MEP, this, that, and everyone, right, from landscape. But there's something that is unknown to us. And unknown is always, it causes anxiety, right? I mean, because that's always, there's a risk that is associated with it. So the subsurface beneath the ground is basically an unknown factor as of today. Why do I call it unknown factor? Is defined, or basically can be categorized by the problem statements which are given below. So what are they? See, Bangalore was in news last year for the sort of water crisis, right? Even though it has rained fairly well this year, but we still see huge number of complexes depend on tanker. And tanker water is just a ticking time bomb. We don't know how long they will last. and demand is always greater than the supply. And not that their supply source is also going to be a perennial source, which means they can also potentially run out of water. What next for us if that happens, right? So water crisis, what do we do to basically solve it? We drill borewell after borewell just to find little water or no water, or even if you find water, we see that they run dry in matter of few months. Second, which is basically the problem statement, which is a very critical one for most of the developers, is seepage and flooding. With climate change, one of the things that we are observing is, the rainfall patterns are absolutely haphazard. What do I mean by that? Is we see a great spike, sudden spike in the rains, and then sudden fall in the rain as well, which means it's highly unpredictable. Correct. And with the concretization that is happening around the city, with the water not being allowed to flow the way it wants to flow, ultimately flooding is going to be a natural consequence. And seepage, some of the locations where there's extremely high water table because of the strata beneath, uplift is a natural consequence of which can cost millions to the developer, right, in terms of fixing that. It also basically poses a structural risk to the entire building, which nobody wants to see in their development. And biggest of them all, rock beds basically cropping up from nowhere, causing delay in project. What do I mean by this, right? See, today, let's say I have a 10-acre project or a 100-acre project, or let's take 10-acre project for understanding purposes and ease of understanding purposes. So I have to take so many approvals. EMO of approvals, I have to take approvals from the the local authorities. I have to basically design everything, design my building plan, layout plan. I have to basically design how many basements am I gonna go, how tall the structure is gonna be. And imagine during the excavation, I find a huge boulder of rock, a small mountain beneath my surface. I have to go basement, but I can't go basement because I cannot blast the rock off, because I need permission from the Ministry of Environmental, and from them I need the permission, right? Which means there's a cost to the delay. The project is going to get delayed by a few months, and that permissions, can take months together to get the permissions once again. So there's a huge cost of finance that as a developer you have to incur if any such unforeseen situations occur during the course of the working of the project, right? So what is the current landscape? What is the current solution that we basically have, which has been used by developers? Current landscape is extremely old tech, resistivity method. The study is limited to your property. What do I mean by that? See, I can always call this 10-acre property and the surface is mine. But what's beneath the property is absolutely a unity in action. What do I mean by that? Is, see, my neighbor's water aquifer may be shared with my aquifer. Beneath the surface, the water could be flowing from his property to my property. So in nature, nothing is divided, everything is united. On the surface, we divide it as per our convenience, right? So the study, how can you limit the study to only your property? There's a huge limitation, right? And the neighbor will not allow your geologist to go and venture into their property and do a resistivity test and all these things. So there's a limited scope that we have with the current technology that we are using. No clarity on recharge, correct? Or seepage root cause analysis. This basically means that all of us, see, as realtors, every project of us, we go for IGBC rating, or we go for various other USGBC rating and other things. We do the recharge. But if you just ask any developer, go to them and ask, where is the water that your recharge going? Is it coming to you? Is it going to your neighbor? Nobody has any clue. What is the reason behind it? Simple thing is lack of visibility into the way subsurface is structured, where the water can be stored, where it can be extracted. What is the nature of aquifer? Aquifer, just for everyone's understanding, is a porous body that is enabled by a permeable layer that feeds water into it, right? So if that porous body has some sort of an leaky structure in that, which means water can leak out. So those are some of the current landscape technologies that we are using. So these are the challenges that we have. So the solution, right, that this is exactly where the groundwater company's solution basically comes in. We use a combination of various 13 different technologies, leveraging satellites basically to look at your NVIDIA index, look at the soil quality, look at the moisture retention, look at various other parameters, leverage geospatial mapping and analysis, subsurface. We do something called subsurface imaging, and subsurface data analysis to basically tell you what is a posture of what is the risk that is there in terms of flooding, in terms of seepage, in terms of water availability as well. So as a developer, today you could know even before you buy the land, even before you invest in the land or you basically procure the land, what are the threats that your property basically has in terms of water availability. If you know that there's going to be a water availability issues in your project, even before you procure the land, I'm sure there are actions that you can take which can ensure that there's minimal impact of water crisis by ensuring that you do the right way of recharging, right? Which is all these things that we do is further complemented by something called mathematical modeling and aquifer health check. All those things that basically helps you in looking at something called the storage and recovery data. What do I mean by storage? Let us say all of us drink water, right? All of us carry this water bottles. The water bottle, we know that in a 1 liter water bottle is enough for us. So similarly, Mother Earth also has structures within the earth that can store crores of liters of water. Some can range even from few thousands to few crores of liters of water. So where should we be recharging? We should be recharging in those smaller things or larger things. So that sort of visibility is what we are talking about. Second thing, we also help you reduce the flooding issues as well as seepage issues, which can cause uplift problems for you. And then, of course, all these things can also enable you to improve your IGBC ratings as well. So if you do a basic business impact with the groundwater company, when you look at the traditional approach vis-a-vis GWC's platform, technology platform that we use, the basic cost analysis, rainwater harvesting that we do as of today only meets compliance. It's done for compliance check, right? But with us, while saving cost, you can also improve your water availability. I'm talking about fresh water generation by 800%. This is something that we have delivered across the clientele that we have. Tanker water cost can run in crores. If you ask any large societies in Bangalore, townships that they have, they will tell you how much they spend on water every year, right? Runs in crores of rupees. But with our thing, you can cut down on that cost as well as water quality because you don't know where tanker water is coming from. The quality of water, you cannot ascertain it, right? Second thing is the average yield is absolutely unknown in case of the traditional model that you're using. But with us, you can be rest assured about 2 to 3.5 inches of water coming from your own aquifers. And you can, of course, cut down on the drilling cost as well by 70% while also cutting down your carbon emissions that are associated with drilling as well. Additionally, rock and seepage issues that can crop up with traditional approach during excavation can also be, you can also have avoid those things as well, as a consequence of which you can meet project timelines much faster. Are some of the benefits that you basically have. Is what it is. Happy to take any questions that you have. If not, I'll showcase you one of the videos that we have done for one of our clientele, if that's fine for everyone.
Please go ahead with the video.
We can go ahead with the video. Just give me a moment. Just a moment.
So while Jagdish pulls out that video, any questions that you have, we would be happy to answer.
So yeah, one of the, I think, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead with the question. I'd be happy to answer them.
No, actually, I had a few questions, but I think post this video, we can go ahead with the Q&A.
All right. So this is one of the projects that we did for an integrated sort of an luxury project in one of the hill stations in South India. So we mapped the entire project leveraging geospatial and aerial mapping. Then we look at something called the subsurface characteristics. We measure everything in terms of the water flow rates, how the contour of the project is, which are the water accumulation zones and all these things, something that we will see subsequently during the video. Just give me a moment, as in how I play the video. So we do a sort of a 3D modeling to showcase the entire, so how the water flow would be on the surface water. how the water would flow, where the water can be captured, and from where the water can be recharged into the deeper zones as well. So we zone it out totally, right? Zone A, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, and we say where the water capturing zone can be there, surface runoff based on the area, volume, and all these things. Then the entire zoning is done, how the water would flow, the rain, fall modeling is basically done. And subsequently, we look at the subsurface thing as well. So now we identify the recharging zones based on various parameters, which are the recharging zones, which you can see is R1 over here. There are multiple zones like that are basically identified based on the subsurface characteristics. So imagine a project of this size, which is close to about 50 to 60 acres. Ideally, anyone would identify close to 50, 60 recharge locations. We just did about 4 because we knew that that is exactly where potential is, right? You have to weed out all those false anomalies. And that's extremely important if you want to do the water management. See, as I said, one of the fundamental problems that we have with recharge modeling today is we don't know where the water is going. The water that I'm sending inside the Mother Earth, is it going to me? Is it coming to me? Is it going to my neighbor? See, I'm not again sharing with my neighbor. But first thing is, I should have my stomach full, then I can look at sharing. Correct. I cannot starve myself and then look at sharing. I will not survive long to do the charity work, is what it is, right? So we mark out all the zones based on the water flow on the surface. Here, there was a restrictions in terms of the wells and other things that could be done. And then, see, this is the subsurface image of which, how the entire water flow subsurfaces, how the water, the veins, right? So as human beings, all of us are veins, right? So if I have to take the blood or give the blood, I'm giving an analogy so that it's easily relatable and you can understand it. I'm not getting into the technicalities of it. So if I have to give the blood or take the blood, would I target the veins, bone, or flesh? Obviously the veins. So similarly, Mother Earth also has veins. And this is exactly what those veins are, right? This is exactly what the modeling that we have done. So that you see over here, R1, R2, R3, R4. The red ones is where the water would go out of your property. So this is the flow direction. And the subsequent things that you basically see here will showcase that to you as well. See, this is the way the water is going out. And this is subsurface modeling that we have done for the client. So based on this, the entire thing is structured around it and then basically looked at as well. Happy to take any questions that.
So fantastic presentation, Jagdish. Really enjoyed the presentation. Didn't even know some of the things, I mean, really opened certain windows in my brain. Let me put it that way. But really enjoyed it. A couple of, just to keep it in tune with the conversation that's going on. First, I have questions for you, Jagdish, and then I have a few questions for Saras as well.
Yeah.
So Jagdish, I like how you have captured the data. Seems like you've made a 3D model. See, you said that you take data from the satellite. Okay.
Geospatial, yes.
Geospatial. How accurate is your data? Like, because what you've shown, you've shown subsurface water flows and aquifers. That means there could be caverns that could really open up really deep, and how are you getting this data and how accurate? Because see, when people,
yeah,
go ahead.
To answer that question, right? See, you cannot only be dependent on satellite. Satellite basically is to look at the impact of larger area on your property. If somebody comes and tells you, see, there's a lot of myth in the market, a lot of people say satellite mapping, they come to you with a Google Earth data and tell you it's satellite mapping. Google Earth, as all of us know, is a satellite imagery. There's a difference between satellite imagery and satellite mapping, right? we combine satellite mapping and geospatial mapping to basically look at the impact of the larger area on your project. As I said, I could always say this 10-acre property is mine. What's beneath the surface is never mine. So we do these things to look at the impact. See, based on this, I can look at something called the soil thickness. I can look at something called the permeability. I can do something called permeability modeling. What do I mean by permeability modeling? I can basically see which direction the water is flowing. Is it coming towards my property? Is it moving away from my property? In the soil layer itself. Based on that, I can basically ascertain, is my property being recharged or the water is being taken away from my property by nature itself? Correct? So satellite mapping and geospatial, to answer that question, that is one of the things that we do, apart from the 13 other things that we do to arrive at a data like this, which is pinpoint accuracy. So much so that, on rock mapping, a lot of people, developers had these concerns. We have done one of the projects with Brigade itself, and we gave them a rock mapping data, and it was absolutely to the T. The numbers that we gave, we got it drilled and verified, and we gave it to them. That is the sort of assurance that you're talking about.
So I think I will have you test on one of my projects also. Seems very interesting.
Yeah.
It's a substantially large off-grid off-grid community living project. So it's at an elevated height as well. So and there's a lot of contours in that. So I think, and since we want to incorporate sustainability, especially water conservation in that area, is a bit of a challenge. So I think that could be something that we could try.
Absolutely. So there are any number of projects that can showcase across to you. I mean, as I said, the customer list that we have, right? Usually that's the last slide that people end up showing, but we start with that slide, and there's a reason behind it as well. The scale of developers from large to
As
medium.
we are running out of time, I have one question for Saras quickly.
Yes, please.
Saras, two things. Just one, real estate developers, they are, go-getters. They generally want to quickly implement stuff. So, there is always a hesitation about the cost. Whenever we are talking about implementation of technology, especially for sustainability, and they always feel that there could be an additional increase in cost, or so do you think that is the case, or what are you seeing in especially through the technology that you guys are developing through your accelerator and your fund? I mean, is there an increase in cost, or what's the situation?
Interesting question, and I think very relevant question from the Indian context as well. So see, what we are seeing, so there are two aspects to sustainability related solutions. So one aspect is sustainability solutions which are actually helping you bring down your cost. Where we are seeing a lot of solutions getting very faster adoption is solutions which are helping you bring down cost more around operations. So if I talk about energy efficiency, if I talk about water conservation and preservation, we are seeing great adoption of those technologies right now in India. I think that's already happening. A lot of it you would see is happening on the commercial side, where solutions are helping you bring down your HVAC cost or energy bills, or solutions are helping you to, let's say, rationalize your water consumption. The second aspect around sustainability, what we've seen is more around alternate materials. So whether it's in the form of, say, a low carbon cement, or whether it's in the form of any sort of alternate sort of material, there, unlike West, we are still early. Having said that, what we are seeing, the industry has started to realize that sooner or later some form of tax is going to come for all of us. We are not adopting technology, sustainable technology. Right now there is a BSR reporting, then came the the business responsibility and sustainability reporting that we saw, that the government came up with. And now, since the government has announced that it has to reach that SDG goal by 2070, and given our industry, which unfortunately get blamed for around 40% of carbon emission, there is bound to be some regulation that will come up in coming years, where the industry will have to adopt some of these technologies, right? So you're beginning to see some permeation of that happening, right? I mean, a lot of that is happening with, say, commercial projects right now, because the end customer is demanding for it because they themselves have to meet their SDG goals. On the Resi side, I think while that percentage is still small as of now, but we are beginning to see that happen. And those projects actually are garnering some premium as well, because then the end consumer is asking for those.
Thank you very much, Saras. It was very, very enlightening session. Really learned a lot of important things. I just cannot imagine how in the future companies will not be implementing these solutions as natural resources become more and more precious. Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to having you guys also come to one of our networking events as well, so that you can interact and educate our members as well as our partners. Thank you very much for being here today, and looking forward to catching up soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and always a pleasure, and happy to come to the session when you hold it next.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye.